Am I the asshole for insisting my husband save the money gifted for our daughter's future? Mike and I have always had a solid marriage, or at least I thought so. Sure, we've had our disagreements, but nothing major. When we found out we were expecting Lily, it felt like a dream come true. We'd talked for years about starting a family, and when it finally happened, I thought we were on the same page about giving her the best life possible. What I didn't expect was how much having a baby would strain our relationship. Money was tight before Lily, but after she was born, the cracks in our financial situation became glaringly obvious. I was on maternity leave, and Mike's job, while steady, didn't leave much room for extras. Still, we were managing, or so I thought. When Mike's father, George, came to visit us in the hospital, he handed Mike an envelope. Inside was a check for $4,000. I remember the way George looked at us, his voice thick with emotion. "This is for Lily," he said. "I didn't have much when Mike was growing up, and I've always regretted not being able to do more. I want her to have options." I was touched. George isn't a wealthy man. He lives modestly on his pension, and I knew this money was probably a significant chunk of his savings. I promised myself that we'd honor his intention and use the money wisely for Lily's future. At first, Mike seemed to agree. We talked vaguely about saving it for college or putting it into a trust. But as the weeks went by and the realities of parenthood set in, his attitude started to shift. It came to a head last week when I brought up the idea of opening a 529 plan. I had spent hours researching the best options, and I was excited to finally take this step. "Mike, I think we should put the money into a 529 for Lily," I said over dinner. "It'll grow tax-free and we can use it for college or other education expenses." Mike didn't look up from his plate. "I don't know if that's the best idea right now," he mumbled. I frowned. "What do you mean?" He sighed, setting his fork down. "I think we should use the money for more immediate needs. We've got credit card debt, and the car's about to die. Plus, daycare is going to be a huge expense. That money could really help us right now." My heart sank. "Mike, your dad gave us that money for Lily. He was so clear about it. How can we use it for anything else?" "It's still for her," Mike said defensively. "If we're less stressed about money, we can be better parents. That's more valuable than a savings account she won't touch for 18 years. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "Mike, this isn't about us. It's about her future. Your dad trusted us to do the right thing." "And I am doing the right thing," he snapped. "What's the point of saving for the future if we can't even keep the lights on?" His words stung. Yes, things were tight, but we weren't on the verge of losing our home. His priorities felt skewed, and I couldn't shake the feeling that using Lily's money for anything else would be a betrayal of George's trust. The argument spiraled from there. I accused Mike of being short-sighted and irresponsible. He accused me of being rigid and overly controlling. By the end of the night, we were barely speaking. The next day, I called George. I know I shouldn't have, but I felt like I needed backup. When I told him what was happening, he was furious. "That money is for Lily," George said firmly. "I didn't give it to you two to spend on yourselves. If Mike doesn't understand that, I'll talk to him." When I told Mike about the conversation, he exploded. "You went behind my back? To my dad? Are you kidding me?" he yelled. "Do you have any idea how humiliating that is? You're treating me like I'm some kind of deadbeat." "I called him because you weren't listening to me," I shot back. "This isn't about you, Mike. It's about Lily." "Don't act like you're the only one who cares about her," he shouted. "I'm trying to make sure we don't drown in debt while you're sitting here playing financial planner." We didn't resolve anything that night. The tension between us was unbearable. I felt like I was fighting for Lily's future, but Mike saw it as me, undermining him as a father and partner. The next day, I made a decision. I went to the bank and opened a savings account in Lily's name. I deposited the check and didn't tell Mike until after it was done. When he found out, he was livid. "You had no right to do that without talking to me," he said. "You're acting like this is your decision alone, like I don't have a say in what happens in our family." "You made it clear what you wanted to do with the money," I replied. "And it wasn't the right thing. Someone had to protect Lily's future. Now Mike is sleeping on the couch, and we're barely speaking. He says I crossed a line by going behind his back, and part of me wonders if he's right. but another part of me feels like I had no choice. So, am I the asshole for insisting the money be saved for our daughter? Or did I go too far by involving George and making the decision without Mike?